Welcome back to Mike's Creation Catalog. Today we're talking about frogs, toads, and salamanders. Did you know that there are over 4,700 species of frogs? But there's a difference between frogs and toads. So frogs are semi-aquatic, and toads, they mainly hate the water. And toads, they will just not go into the water except for drinking water, which is 2 to 3 days, and breeding. And frogs stay in the water spring through fall. Then they get out of the water and hibernate. This is an American toad. Now there is a myth about the warts that are on his skin. The myth is that if a toad pees on you, that you will all of a sudden get warts. That is very, very untrue because I just got peed on by him. And I'm not getting any warts, as you can see. And now we're going to talk about the difference of male and female toads. Here is a female and a male. This male is lighter colored, more yellowish than blackish. And this is more blackish and reddish, is a female. So I found these tree frogs at my grandpa's hot tub. We get them like every week from there. Their habitat is just pretty cool. It's more like mimicking the rainforest, even though they don't live in the rainforest. They still like it. So right here is a plant that they really like to climb on. And here's one of the frogs. She's greenish tan today. And in here there's one of the tree frogs. This is alarm clock. He is usually very loud when I open his cage because he sounds like a bird. He sounds very much like a bird, like a woodpecker almost. And every time he gets louder, and he does it for 3 times. That's why I call him alarm clock. So this is a gray tree frog, and they eat crickets, earthworms, and sometimes pill bugs. This guy is right now 2 years old because of the size. It is a female, and there really is no color difference to see the male and female in their color because they can change from brown to tan to black to light green and dark green. To change the different colors usually means what their feelings, like they're angry is usually light green, tan is happy, and black is wanting water or taking a bath. Brown means that they really need to sleep. It's true. And dark green is when they're sleeping. When they eat their food, they need some help pushing it down their throat since they can't swallow like we can. They actually use their eyes on top of their head and they push them down. And they're not pushing it into the brain. The brain is located right behind their eyes. So the eyes go down into their head and push the food down their throat. And how they climb is very interesting. There's these little hairs that are located on their hands and feet, and they need them wet to climb. Man, she really likes the camera. Their legs are very pretty. They have yellow on their legs and they have yellow on their legs all the time. But this doesn't make the difference between the gray tree frog and the squirrel tree frog. They both have that, but the gray tree frog has this light spot under its eye right there. You you can see right there, that light spot. And that's how it's a gray tree frog, not a squirrel tree frog.
It's on the camera.
So this is my bullfrog. He's not a very big bullfrog because he just turned into an adult frog. So, this guy lives with fish that he could easily swallow. Like this yellowfish right here, he can easily swallow, but he does not swallow that fish. He's very nice to his friends in the tank. Like there's salamanders in the tank. There's a turtle in the tank. There's 2 crayfish in the tank and bigger fish than him. And they all like each other. Okay, so these are my American bullfrog tadpoles. I caught these guys at my grandpa's pond, and I caught like 50 of them when I went there. And I'm not exaggerating. There was exactly 50. But 25 of them died, so I only have 35 now. But most of them have survived a very long time. The big guys have never died, not one of them. But the little guys, they weren't so lucky. I think there was a disease that spread from one tadpole to another, or they were just all crammed together. These tadpoles will eat algae things that you can buy from the store, but their personal favorite is cooked lettuce. They really, really love cooked lettuce. And they also like brine shrimp and krill. Well, I don't exactly have every stage of an American bullfrog. I obviously don't have the egg stage, but these guys are the little 1-year-old stage. And they do not grow back legs while in the 1-year-old stage. Then we go on to the 2-year-old stage. They do start growing elbows and back legs, but they do grow back legs first before the elbows. Once they have developed their back legs, they start coming onto a land platform. And then they grow their elbows out first, and then their arms. So that's very interesting. They eat their own tail. It's true, they do eat their own tail, so that's why it shrinks, so that they become a frog. And when their tail completely shrinks, they can start eating insects. The weird thing about tadpoles is that when they die, they shrink into anything that you place them on, even in the water. Here's how I preserved some of them. Only 5, but here's the stage. There's pinhead stage, just a little bit more than a pinhead stage. Then this is 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old, 2-year-old. We're going to talk about salamanders now. These are American tiger salamanders. I found them at my friend's house in a sewer under a bucket. All 3 of these were in the same exact place at that time. And now they are a year old. Actually, over a year old. And their lifespan age in captivity is 20 years. Usually in the wild, they only survive to 5 years because of their bullfrog predator. Tiger salamander tadpoles and other salamander tadpoles have gills that come out of their head like strings that help them breathe in the water while they're tadpoles. When they get on land, it shrinks up into their skin. And you can actually see where it shrinked up right there. See those loose skin on their head? That's where it shrinked up into. Misha had a problem. My brother, he threw him across the room and banged against the wall, and we couldn't find her for so long. When we found her, her tail wasn't off, it was just showing her bone. So we left her in a container with a paper towel, and the cut started getting worse, not even healing up. So I amputated it, which means cut it off. And it healed, but it still hurts for her. So these salamanders don't have like this ridge right here like she does on her tail right there. That's because her bone was still sticking out when I amputated it. And so when the skin closed around it, the bone had to go inside again, so it curved. But that really hurts for her now because that's her spine. And so it hurt her spine. Frogs are mainly aquatic animals, so they would have been made on day 5 of creation. The most famous time of frogs is when Moses sent a plague of frogs to Egypt. So a lot of people think about frogs when they think about evolution, because they see a fish-like thing turn into a frog. But that's not really true, because the tadpole has all the same genetics as a frog. It's just like a human. Like a human starts out like a little blob and then turns into a human. So God gave the instructions to turn a baby into a human and a tadpole into a frog. So it's just like the old fairy tale. When you kiss a frog, it turns into a prince. That's what they want you to believe. Like a frog, given enough time, will turn into a human. But that's not what we observe. Thank you for joining us for another Mike's Creation Catalog. Join us next time for another episode.